Okay, welcome to the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust meeting of Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. We're meeting at Memorial Hall in Town Hall, and this is being recorded. This meeting is being recorded by Westborough TV. Have called to order, and really our first order of business, and the main order of business this meeting is the review of the RFP for Baylor Avenue. So I know we just got it out last night. I thought the best way to go through it is, once again, section by section. We have really two documents, the RFP and a purchase and sale agreement, plus there are appendices as part of the RFP. But what we can do is see if people have questions, comments, or to-dos. In a number of cases, there are some dates we need to determine. Assuming that we can get through this and vote it for publication as soon as possible. That's really our goal. We should have consider this pretty much the final version, I would hope, except for minor edits or formatting or housekeeping kinds of items. So given that, if people are ready, we'll start with section 1.
Okay, so basically if you're looking and you're seeing on my computer it's blue lines, but red lines from the council, we had previously accepted all of town council's changes. The remaining changes are basically clarifying that it's the trust as an agent of the town that's selling the property, not the town itself. Legally, since the trust is a component of the town, it can be written either way, but looking at all of the sample RFPs that Hank had gathered and starting to put this together, they all referred to it as the trust doing the sale. So that language has been changed throughout. And we will, she also re-asked a question. Yes, we will attach the survey that we had completed as one of the appendices to the document. So that's the main part of the document. We do need to set dates. Really, once we approve, it's really a timeline for how long we have to have the bid open. And then how soon before the bid closes we want to require questions be submitted.
Great.
And the recommendation from council was typically 7 to 10 days before the bid closes will be the deadline, the last chance for people to ask questions.
Correct.
And then we would need to schedule a walkthrough.
Correct.
Any need to do more than 30 days for the bid open?
I don't know if it's 30 or 60. We need to check with the.
Whatever the minimum is, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only going to get a couple of developers at best, and they'll all respond pretty quick.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to propose that we shoot for Monday, April 3rd as our release date. Okay, that gives us a week plus to, week and a half to make final corrections, get the final document.
Yeah, I assume our procurement, our business agent.
Can you speak into the mic?
I presume the town's business agent or our purchasing agent will release the RFP and get it to the right places.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that she can put it up on combis.
Building officials?
This is the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust.
The building department itself is in the Forbes building across the street.
So maybe the meetings have switched back over there?
It could be. I mean, you might check with the selectman's office. They'll know where the meeting is.
just
right downstairs, one
that
floor down.
One flight down, and then,
They can tell you where the meeting is.
Okay, great, thank you.
you have,
Sorry.
No worries.
No problems.
so, where were we?
Just set an attendance record.
April 3rd.
So, yeah, looking at it, April 3rd, I think is a reasonable time to look, to have it posted at, on the various sites that bidders would look to.
And then, I want to just make it a motion, it's easy. I move we release the bid on April 3rd. We set the response deadline at whatever the statutory minimum is. And we set the closing of questions 10 days before the statutory minimum. And we set a walkthrough of the property not less than 15 days, or not more than 15 days before the bids are due.
Right, I think those are,
And,
there is a schedule on the next page that we may want to just complete
Okay.
with the dates. We're going to have to do that anyhow, so,
Well,
I guess I would modify the bid that we would release the RFP April 3rd or as soon as possible thereafter.
sure,
okay.
that's great.
That we, use the minimum bid period. You'd said close questions 10 days before the end of the
Yeah.
bid period. And that a scheduled walkthrough will be scheduled you
So
said
we have
not
the-
more than or at least 15 days prior to the close of the bid period.
I'd make it at least 15 days, that way, you get a walkthrough, they got any more questions, they can ask them, and
Right, we have an RFP published. I mean, these are the dates on the next page. I just want to make notes for myself.
it says
So
published on the
RFP,
3rd.
let's do this. I'm just going to do, all right, so that's day one. And then you're saying on the pre-submittal, the walkthrough is really the next one. It's a pre-submittal, it would be a meeting and a walkthrough all at once. I mean, the same time, day.
Yeah, right.
So cite, the walkthrough would be, you're saying after the bid, or after publication would be,
I don't know what the statutory minimum is to close. Just
well,
make- just
this
make it
isn't
30
closure, this is
Just make it
just,
30 days, Ed, that's easy. We'll have a walkthrough 30 days after the bid's posted.
okay, so that's plus 30. Responding questions and requests for supplemental information due,
10 days before the statutory minimum close of bid.
all right, I'm trying to work forward.
Yeah,
So I would-
we
I
don't
gue-
know
I
the
guess I would-
statutory minimum to close the bid.
I believe it's 60 days.
So
So
pick
let's
60
let's
then.
do requests for supplemental information, do 15 days.
So the supplemental information,
Is it day 45 and the bid closed?
so that's a plus 45,
Right. And then 60 days is the bid.
and then the answers provided would be probably plus 50.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, so answers, in other words, they have to get it in, that gives us a week.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
and then,
Responses due
proposals due,
be
60
May,
days.
if it's 60 days after April, it's gonna have to be May 30th.
so plus 60 days, okay. Yeah, I'm just doing it, and we'll fill in the number, yeah.
Yep, whatever the
Do
number
that.
is, you fill it in, right?
We'll do
So-
it at Memorial Day Parade.
Has to be a working day, I believe.
I know.
I expect.
And are these business days or calendars?
Calendar days.
It'd be calendar days, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what we just put in the document is consistent with Hank's motion?
Okay. All right, so you have that. So, any other issues on section 1 or 2?
Yeah, Ed,
Yeah.
where is this request for proposal advertised? How
How does it get
developers
actually
and
published?
contractors, how do they know
Yeah,
about
Alan,
this?
you're familiar with,
So, so the RFP will get posted on Combis, which is the state's bidding system that the town uses. Copies will also be available in the town clerk's office for people to request. Both of those carry a log, so we'll know who's taken out copies. As far as advertising it, we will also let the affordable housing community know that it's available. My thought would be to the MHP, CHAPA, MCO Housing, SMOC,
mass
No.
housing. no.
Habitat for Humanity
Yeah.
has already, asked to be notified when the RFP is available. So we would provide it to them as well. And really asking people involved to forward this to developers they may know who might be interested in the project. So,
If you could come up with a list of those as best you can,
Yep,
and that way we make sure we don't forget if people have other, Ken, if you have,
right.
contractor groups or.
We're not allowed to send it to anyone saying, please bid.
Right.
But we're allowed to say, we're issuing this RFP, here's where it's located, if you or anyone is interested.
Well, it has to be publicly announced,
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
regardless.
I
Yeah.
think that's what Combis is, right? The-
Combis is the public
It's a
announcement
state,
Right.
and stuff
state-
like that.
That meets
And
your
any-
requirement.
In Combis, bidders register for the types
Right.
of contracts they're looking for, so, developers who work on affordable housing, if they're the ones in Combis will get an alert that this is an affordable housing project. Metro West Community Development,
Right.
who won the bid to redevelop White Cliffs and Northborough.
yeah.
We'll also let them know we've worked with them on the emergency rental assistance program.
So, yeah, if we can create that list so that when we are ready to publish, we get it out, within a day to everybody.
Sure.
All right. We're responsible for printing and for the town clerk's benefit.
Yeah.
Do we give them some number of printed?
Yeah, we can give them a number.
Or, can our procurement officer, our purchasing agent, take care of that? We have a purchasing agent, right? Normally, that's who'd do that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm asking.
I can,
Yeah, I mean-
I can,
I would think that
Right.
I think that the purchasing agent would put together a final, would post it on Combis and,
have it with the clerk.
and,
we'll see.
Be
Get it.
available to print as needed.
and print as
Exactly.
needed and get
Yeah.
out any, and if
Okay.
there's emails, if there's a mailing list, would be able to put together an official letter and send it to the mailing
Okay.
list.
Is there a need for a press release?
Excuse me?
Is there a need for a press release?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, anybody who's seriously interested in this kind of business, they're on Combis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, although a press release might be just good from community
Publicity.
relations standpoint.
Well, that and also just like, yeah,
Okay.
I was just thinking about that. That's the world that I operate in, but I understand that contractors and developers operate in the combine or the combis. whatever.
Combis, COMMBUYS.
Okay, whatever
Is it
that is.
Commonwealth
They-
buys?
Okay. Oh, Commonwealth buys. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Combis. Okay. So I understand that that's like the arena that developers are in. So that's fine.
All right, yeah, let's focus on getting that stuff out first. We can always do a press release. I think the press release would be more for, yeah, we're making progress kind of thing, and this is gonna happen, and
Yeah.
we hope. All right, so anything else on those sections, sections 1 and 2? Okay, moving on. There'll be a submission briefing this is where we're doing
Yep.
the, that plus 30 days. right? So why don't we assume 9 AM
Okay.
at, I don't know if you're doing edits or,
No, we can just do the, I mean,
I'm just wondering, recording some of this down.
yeah, I'm doing edits. We can do it at 9:00 AM. We'll get the exact date and fill it in.
Right. And that would be the one that is the 30 days after the release of the RFP,
Yes.
as we discussed. Okay? So this is plus 30.
It could even be sooner than that if we wanted it to be.
Huh?
It could be sooner than that.
I,
mean, People want,
should we do it 20 days after the RFP is released?
let me pull the calendar.
I'm just looking at people, they see it, and then you give them enough time so that you're not going to conflict with shorter-term meetings that they may already have.
And people who are serious about this stuff will respond within whatever time frame you tell them. You know,
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Release it.
contractors are not accustomed to people being kind to them.
Well, we want to be.
Yes, but
kind.
we should be.
No, I wouldn't know what to do.
There's no need to be deliberately punitive, but contractors are, developers are accustomed to responding.
All right.
Yeah, I think-
20 or 30 days? Let's make a decision.
30.
Let's do 30.
Okay, 30,
Okay.
done.
Which would be May 3rd, Wednesday, May 3rd.
Feels like a lucky day to me.
Okay. All right, so that closes out section 3. Section 4, I don't think there's any issues with that. We've been through it. Section 5, the survey, we need to incorporate that.
We'll build it into the PDF.
Yeah,
When we PDF everything.
when we build that up. I mean, I have a copy of it. You should,
You sent me a copy.
I
Yeah, I
sent
saw
you a
you
copy,
got a
right,
copy, yeah.
okay, so, yeah, Hank sent it to me, I sent it to you. Okay, section 6, zoning and permitting, I think we're set there. Hearing no other issues. Section 7, building design development. I don't see any issues that pop out. PNS conveyance. We have that PNS
At the end,
separately,
yeah.
ours a separate document. Everything says trust as opposed to town. Okay, section 9. There was a format on the word section,
Oh, yeah, it's
Oh,
very big.
not consistent. You see it?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's an important section.
it's a different size font.
I mean, it
and-
is.
Yeah.
Times New
I
Roman.
just, my OCD kicks in.
I hear you. I hear you.
It's been fixed.
Thank you.
Kate is happy.
We're all like,
I saw a shaking no.
yeah, thank you.
All right, so the rest of section 9 is really where we have a lot of the details on the submission, but we've been through this. Council's been through it, okay? Section 10, all right, see the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust Care Town Manager's Office, okay? On or before 12 noon are we saying May
May 30th,
May 30th?
May 3rd.
works for me.
May 3rd's the walkthrough.
Oh, never mind.
It was-
No, this is when
May
we're-
30th, 60 days after April 3rd.
Okay, that is a Tuesday. Okay.
So we're saying that's May 30th.
Just to pick a number,
For clarification's sake, do I need to have these dates on my calendar for any reason?
Not yet. But if you want to be there when the bids are received and opened.
Yep.
I'll just open my arms.
And get a stack, hopefully a stack
And you
of
can do the
papers, right.
walkthrough. Have you been through the house?
I have not.
You're in
Join
for-
us for a walk?
You're in for a treat.
So, but I'm curious about that. So that's April, but that's May 3rd, right?
Yeah,
So I should block my calendar if I want to be there.
yes.
Okay.
See, the third.
Okay.
Sections 11 and 12.
I would hope we'd be able to get out this edited version now and before end of week. By end of week, this week.
This edited version?
This edited version.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, no, this will be,
And we'll have hard dates in there
yep,
and people
And I
can
can
mark
plug
it.
my calendar in. Okay.
Correct.
yeah.
Okay. All right, section 11. This is just, now, there was a comment by Sharon on, this is, let's see, on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
It's ability to
6.
complete project.
It's the sixth item, ability to complete project. And she made a comment that may not want to include this criteria for proposers like Habitat. May take up to 2 to 3 years to complete the project.
It may, I mean, typically that's the kind of time frame. Usually takes anywhere from 6 to 9 months to permit these things and get through DHCD. And a couple of years to build it. Wait, you set a time fence, you can always move the time fence.
Yeah,
But the purpose of the time fence is to make sure that the developer doesn't take the property and then kind of sit around trying to decide what to do with it and
right.
delay and, you know, nothing happens and you have no recourse.
Right.
You can also put that in the LDA. I mean, I've seen it in the LDAs before, where when you write the LDA, you say, okay, hey, if you don't start construction within this time frame, you're in default and we can take the property back.
So, the general timeframes in the PNS and the LDA that town council provided was that, construction would need to start within 6 months, within 180 days.
Right.
Of transfer of the deed.
Right.
And we can, I have to reread the section, but we can hold transferring the deed until permits are issued,
Right.
right? So there's time to get the permit, transfer the deed,
Right.
then there's 6 months to start construction, and then construction has to be complete within
Yep.
2 years. I'm comfortable having a criteria that their ability to complete the project. It's really the ability to commence the project. We should change that. Just indicates that we're looking for this to,
Want it to be done
we want it to be done, we want it to be done
expeditiously, right?
quick,
Don't waste
you know,
don't fool
quickly.
around.
The property's been vacant since 2015.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the bidders, the bidders will look at that, and if they don't think they can live with that criteria, they'll come back and say, hey, I can't live with that criteria, are you willing to change it, or
Yeah,
they'll put a contingency in their bid, and you'll have to deal with it.
I mean, we say, is able to begin.
yeah, this is
Within
just,
6.
it's really the ability to commence.
Should we change terminology?
Yeah, I'll change
Okay.
that to commence.
Ability, instead of complete, to commence. Right.
Right. But I guess I'm comfortable leaving that in.
Sure.
Leaving in the
'Cause-
criteria, just
Yeah.
renaming it.
Just
ability-
renaming it, 'cause it's really
ability
about
to
starting.
commence.
Well, then
Project.
also you need to change complete to commence in the other three
Yeah.
sections, the three.
Well, it says upon closing and complete within the projected time frame. So they're giving us a projected time frame.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair.
All right, so commence.
And I can change projected to proposed. Since they're proposing it,
Proposed timeframe.
yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, anything else in that? That was the only, I think, on the criteria
Yeah.
that was an issue. Okay. Section 13. I didn't have any issues with that. Once again, PNS would discuss within 30 days from the date of the award. So this says, okay, on the, right above where it starts appendices, the paragraph, not the one before that, the one before that, where it says, if the trust cannot enter into a mutually satisfactory PNS with a successful proposer within 30 days from the date of the award notice, the trust reserves the right to terminate in negotiations. Now, is
Yeah.
that, when you were just talking about permitting and everything, I'm just trying to see how this fits into that.
This is the first step after we award the bid.
The contract,
We award the bid is to then sign the purchase and sale agreement,
correct,
which also includes the land development agreement.
correct.
So what we're saying is we're looking for a quick close. to move
Right,
this
but
forward.
just per,
But the permit clock doesn't start ticking.
I mean, you don't permit it before you sign a PNS. You can't get a permit without a PNS, right? You
Right.
gotta have site control to do
Sure.
anything. PNS is site control.
Right.
And
Correct.
The issue is that if you and the developer aren't able to agree on the terms of either the
Right.
LDA or the PNS, the contingencies in the PNS, then you're allowed to stop negotiating with that person
Okay.
and go to the second best bidder.
Right.
But it's just-
Okay.
It's a state
That's-
procurement requirement, that's
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
Here's a question. This is my first time
No, that's
going
fine.
through this.
Yeah,
so-
no, it's our first rodeo, so to speak.
Well, Hank's
very
been on
exciting
this
rodeo,
horse
too.
a few times.
Yeah,
As you can tell
the town's been there a lot too.
from the
I mean,
stars.
the
No,
town know-
will the PNS and LDA be part of this package?
Yes, a
Okay.
draft.
A draft, I mean.
A draft.
So we're saying, so basically, the language of the RFP says that they're gonna sign a PNS substantially similar
Right.
to the sample provided.
And where is that?
And that's at the end of, it's,
The PNS
it's
and the
it's
LDA are at
it's
the
the
end of
last
the document.
attachment to the document. So
Well, I know, but where does it say that they will sign?
That's earlier, it's earlier in the document.
Is
Yep.
it? Okay,
Yeah, it's
fine.
about the execution of the process.
All right. Terms of PNS and conveyance. Trust will convey property. Okay, and then we have closing within 90 days after PNS is signed.
Yeah.
That's in that section, the conveyance. Okay. All right, moving along, appendices. The only point I had was at the top of each appendix, it says Town of Westborough. Should that be the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust? Because that's the request for a proposal is coming from us.
They changed it in every other aspect of the
Correct.
RFP, so it
That's
feels
why I'm
like it
bringing
should
it up.
match
Yeah, I
it.
can make those changes.
Okay.
It's just that top title or part,
Yep.
top line, and it's in each. We have the deed, yeah, anywhere in any of the forms in the appendix that we have Town of Westborough, we should just change that to be Westborough Affordable Housing Trust.
Yeah, I'll make those changes.
Okay. Perfect. Any questions, issues on the appendices.
So
The
all-
survey
all of
and
the-
then,
Right, we'll include the survey,
right, that has a blank page.
right,
What's this next page, request? Is that just,
no, that's the cover page for the deed. It was just a blank page. We will,
well, okay,
it's Appendix D, which is the deed. We'll just, the pagination didn't work.
all right, yeah, we'll just get the pagination. Part of the, if we can take the amendment also to include that the editor can do appropriate formatting and minor corrections as
Right.
necessary. You agree?
Yep.
Okay. Has the deed, letter, which is part of the deed from Wendy, the forms, this is what they will fill out to do the actual, to meet appropriate criteria as developers. Okay,
Now we're on to the PNS.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, purchase sale agree, here we go. I don't know what more we want to put in here at this point. If there's anything, I mean, this is really something that, you
So
know,
Yeah,
there are a couple things with the PNS and the land development agreement that we just need to, it's really just a cross-reference check. The PNS, has, blank bedroom, single-family residential dwelling. We should indicate it's a two-bedroom, right?
well, I
Is it
mean,
specifying a two-bedroom?
no sense filling it in until you get a response, right? 'Cause
Well, no, it would be,
you asked for 2 or 3.
right.
right,
So, I
Okay.
mean, the PNS and the LDA the details are all gonna come out of the
Yeah,
proposal when
right,
you
so-
get the bids.
So the draft LDA, the template she has says three-bedroom home, we should make that blank.
That's fine.
And the other thing is double checking all of the dates in number of days.
Yeah.
So making sure that we're consistent with
Yep.
What we put
time
in
to
the
permit,
RFP.
time to start, time to finish, and our remedy periods. And I just haven't had a chance to
I know, we just got
go
to-
through with the highlighter and match those. I believe they're consistent, but it's just a matter of sitting down for an hour and, anytime where it says,
If you want to,
X number of days, making sure that we're consistent.
we can do that together. I mean, we could probably even do it over the phone or Zoom or something like that if you just want to do it together, or if you want to take a stab at it.
I'm happy to do it and
Okay, that's fine.
send it out. The key component of the LDA sets
Yep.
forth the high-level schedule, which is they should commence construction with 180 days from the date of recording of the deed, and they should complete construction within 24 months from that same date. So it's 6 months
To
to
begin,
start and
commence.
an additional 18 months to finish. This is a construction obligation. There's financial obligations, which are pretty boilerplate as far as the affordable housing restrictions are in there. What is in there as well is what's termed right of entry, which doesn't mean we have the right to enter the property. The right of entry says that if at any point in time the developer is failing to meet their obligations under the PNS or under the land development agreement, we provide them notice. If they're unable to, unable to respond or cure whatever failure is happening within a period of time, then our right of entry is our ability to reassume ownership of the property. So that's the protection that if whoever, for whatever reason, if someone, person building it can't execute and can't move forward, they go bankrupt or there's some other conditions, then we have the ability to, to claw back the property without penalty,
Right.
which is important.
Cool.
Anything else on that, on the LDA?
I mean, those are the big things. I haven't, again, it came late yesterday, so I guess I would, we have one motion out, which is the schedule, which we need a second and a vote on.
And then I'd vote to approve it and release it.
Okay, and then we need a second
Based upon
motion.
the dates
Yeah, but
proffered.
I mean, you don't have to have, yeah, whatever, right.
Right, and then, it would be good to have a motion that, maybe allows Ed and I to.
Sure, to make.
Any administrative edits.
Right.
Right, I added that,
To the PNS and the LDA.
Yep.
right, and I added that, that's what I
I
said
added
before.
that to my motion on the.
I added it to the motion
Okay.
that
So the motion is.
the editor, I use the word editor, has the ability to do appropriate minor edits, formatting, et cetera, as needed. So, I mean, I'll second Hank's motion and wait for Kate. Any other issues? Everybody ready to vote on this?
Is there any place, Alan, where it notes when a developer, the contractor, builds this home, I'm looking at termination, all responsibility of the developer under this section shall terminate upon the construction of the unit and the sale of the property to an eligible purchaser in accordance with the terms of this agreement. What is, do we have any provision for what the warranty is on the home? A developer or contractor, when you buy a new home, they give you some sort of warranty against errors, omissions, workmanship, whatever, something that happens.
Yeah, usually like a 1-year warranty,
Yeah, but it has to be,
workmanship and,
yeah, refined to say workmanship, not somebody driving through the garage door,
No, right,
you
yeah,
know,
I
or
understand.
ruining something. But, I mean, I haven't seen anything about any sort of, any kind of warranty. Am I missing it?
No, you're not. It's not there. Do you have,
It would be under the LDA
or the PNS.
or the PN, well, yeah.
it'd be part of the construction obligations. Let's get wording for that and have it added. So.
Okay.
It might
I-
be somewhere in here, and I'm just not,
It's not.
It's
I
not.
looked for the term warranty.
yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, so under
mean, Hank, am I-
PNS
No, yeah,
construction
we-
out of
obligations, which
line.
is,
Yeah, just
No,
asking
we-
for something.
Just clarify.
we
'cause, I
can
mean,
put
the
in
con-
an item
The
6.
developers, usually that's part of the deal.
Yeah, if you bought a new
Right, I mean,
home
it-
from-
Yeah.
And it's considered to be part of the deal, but no harm in getting it written down rather than negotiating it later.
So at least they know.
Sure, they know ahead of time, we're
I
looking
think
for a
under
1-year
qual-
warranty.
under quality of work
Yep.
in that section, Section A, construction obligations, whether it's in addition to that, because it does talk about workmanlike manner, et cetera, we can have it there, or we can have it as another bullet, another number saying the developer will, shall provide. and
Ken,
then-
from your world, do you have sample language? Something simple that says,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm thinking what, I could get that.
one-year
I could
warranty
get
against
something from a developer.
defects.
In my world, we renovate
Right.
somebody's home,
Right.
and we would warranty our workmanship, but not in a situation like this. I could get something from, a buddy of mine here in
Okay.
Westborough.
If you can get that. I
Yeah,
mean,
just sample, because then we can go back.
Just so you have an
to
idea
council and
of
get
something to,
Yeah. Good catch. Well,
yeah.
we're adding that the
Warranty.
developer needs to provide a warranty of workmanship
Warranty.
for a
Fair.
year.
So, also, I'm adding to the motion that we may add in a warranty component.
Yep,
You accept
great.
that, Hank?
Yep,
And I second it.
great.
Any other? That was a good point. Thank you, Ken. And you'll get that within the next day or two, so. Ken?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just reading something else, because where I actually picked up on that is it made me start thinking was under insurance. And I understand that when you look at G, termination, are responsible of the developer under this section shall terminate upon the construction of a unit and sale of the property. That's due to their liability insurance, which that's understood.
Right.
But that made me, that's what
Right, that got
had
me
my light
triggered.
bulb
Yep.
go off on warranty
Yep.
of the unit itself.
So are you recommending something else, or just?
Yeah, no, I'm recommending what we
The
were
warranty.
talking about.
Yeah, no,
I
that's-
was just telling you where
Oh,
I
oh,
was.
no, that's
What
the trick.
triggered
What,
the
what
back-
made me
background.
think of that.
Yep.
Got it, understood.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no reason to change anything here, we're just gonna add something.
Right.
Regarding a warranty for the unit itself after construction.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right,
So-
any other,
So the motion is second, well, any other comments before we?
yes, any other comments or modifications to the motion?
None.
Okay, so the motion is to release the RFP on April 3rd, 2023, using the minimum bid period allowed by law. Close the process to questions at least 10 days before the end of the bid period, and that a walkthrough will be scheduled at least 15 days prior to the closing of bidding, and further authorize the chair and secretary to make any necessary administrative edits to the RFP, purchase and sale, and development agreement, land development agreement, and further to authorize the chair and secretary to add a warranty or workmanship section to the LDA. And Mr. Bain seconded.
Correct. Okay, we don't need to do a roll call vote, we just need a majority vote. So all those in favor of the motion? See it as unanimous, 5 being present. Okay. So Alan has a, half hour or so of work to do. He's amazing at.
Sleep over.
Okay, moving on. Town meeting warrant articles, we talked about those. Saturday is town meeting. Just reminding everyone, we'll start at 9 a.m. at the auditorium at the high school. We are article number 19 now, and basically are requesting the transfer of $600,000 approximately. We'll have a, which we've seen, PowerPoint presentation to request the transfer of that $600,000 from the stabilization fund into the trust fund.
And as you socialize the proposal, any negative feedback?
I don't know if you want to mention, I mean, nobody's reached out to me personally. I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody's seen anything on any other.
Nope, haven't heard, I mean, I haven't heard anything, so but I didn't expect any negative feedback, but,
I saw one negative Facebook post from one individual
okay.
concerned that, we're promoting net zero and sustainability.
Okay.
The climate change issue,
Yep.
which is
Yep, I
another
understand.
article.
A whole different, yep.
Right.
So, and the number may change,
Oh.
but the current motion will be for $601,506 because this was as of last week, the money has earned interest
Yeah, interest on the fund, right?
So
on the fund. And
I
someone did ask me one question, which is, does this money just go into a checking account? No, we are a trust. There's a trust fund, which means the treasurer will keep some money
Right.
immediately liquid in checking, but the vast majority is invested
Right.
and then moved out of those investments is needed. So these will be an interest. These funds will sit in an interest-bearing account until such time as we use them.
Right. And if somebody questions, I think, the issue of the amount that we will, because we will have, as,
Yeah.
I know, I think you had asked me, Hank, or something. This was in February, beginning of February. We had $1,670,377 at the end of January. And this is per the town finance
Yep.
director. And assuming, well, now I had 600,000, we'd go up to 2.27.
Just,
Okay, and, I mean, one of the reasons you need that, amongst just the cost of building a significant development, such as senior housing, et cetera, is that you want to be able to show developers that you do have
Sure.
the wherewithal,
yep.
and that you can allocate this, possibly, if we exceed a certain amount, under select board approval, but you're serious about this. You have the wherewithal to carry through on these development projects. You don't have to wait to go to town meeting to maybe request, to maybe get it. So if somebody brings up, the amount, plus there are agreements with Pulte that they will be paying this and that we will be using it or for development.
Yeah, I think the biggest, the questions I expect most will be the fact that this 600,000 is part of 1.4 million that's separate from the 9 million that we've talked about and
That's
talked
always,
about.
always a bit confusing to
And,
folks who
this
aren't.
is actually part of the original special permit,
Right.
not part of the zoning board of appeals decision
Right.
that allowed them to start selling the units. So, but we've Ed and I have a presentation.
And we have some
Yep, that's
questions.
what I
We
understand.
have
Yep.
bullet
Talk
points to, for the potential questions that might come in. Talking points.
Thank you in advance for being the face
Yes,
of
of
our
course.
trust. Thank you in advance for being
Oh.
the face of our trust at town meeting.
You're welcome to
Wow.
stand up as well.
I am hoping
Nobody's ever thanked
be
his
there.
face.
I am going to be single parenting on Saturday this weekend, so and my kids can't sit in childcare all day. So
Right.
I'm going to be watching it on Westborough TV and then coming when I can.
As
Excellent.
opportunity,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I would appreciate a text if we know when because I want to be there for our article.
Okay,
for
we'll make sure you have time
Okay, thank you.
to get there and find a parking spot.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. The update on the meeting with Acton, Kate and Hank, you did send out a summary
Yep.
on what's called the McManus project. I don't know if you want to hit some of the key points that you found interesting in that was a Zoom meeting?
That was a Zoom meeting with the executive director up there.
Right.
And they've been at this project for about 5 years. I mean, some notable things they did. They started by doing a needs assessment. They looked at specifically waiting lists of the housing authority, and the waiting list is a state waiting list, but you can go down through there and sort which you can sort by certain demographics, like where people live, and they were able to identify a large number of people on a waiting list who live in Acton. The whole project's currently budgeted at $14 million for 41 units. They're thinking it may go as high as 20 million by the time they get bids in and such. They've spent like over 5 years getting to this point. About 75% of the funding is coming from various grants from the state, from selling federal tax credits, from housing trusts and CPA funds and things like that. So, it takes a lot of money to build these things. The mortgage or the part that's going to be covered by rents, they can only afford, I don't know, about 25% of the capital, 30% of the capital. So doing these housing authority projects is not cheap. And oh, by the way, they needed a lot of what I'm going to call political help. They got grants from the legislature. They got grants from the state portals. They did a lot of lobbying with the community to get money from the community. So there's a large investment in assessment, preparing the community, and working with state officials and others to put it together. Kind of a next step, I've talked with Linda Strand, the ED at Westborough Housing Authority, and suggested to her that a good next step would be for her to recruit a couple of people from her housing authority board.
Yeah.
And we'll recruit a couple of people from our board, and we'll form some kind of a subcommittee to focus on figuring out how to drive this project forward. She thought that was a good idea, and she was going to talk with Maureen Johnson
Right.
and possibly one other board member in the next week or two, and see if she can get folks to say, yeah, they'd be willing to work with us to figure out what to do next.
As far as trying to go down this same road?
To go down the road of developing the Rogers Road property.
Okay.
Basically the first step would be, a couple of first steps would be first to go and hire an engineering firm to take a look at the entire site and do the next level of diligence in terms of what's possible to fit on that site. Well, we sort of understand that we have from the Bowler engineering stuff, we have a list of issues, wetlands and sewers and utility capacity and such. We now need to go to the next level and say, okay, what can fit on the site
Right.
and what will have to be done to make it work. Also, talking to the housing authority person, she said, in order to get through the regulatory and funding cycles, they had to hire a consultant. The consultant helped them with doing things like financial. I mean, if you make up your mind, well, I can do somewhere between 20 and 40 units, you then do a set of financial modeling. It says, okay, if I do that, depending upon the income level of the units, the restrictions on the units, et cetera, what will be the rental income? What will be the impact on the housing authority operating budget? You can put together at least a first pass financial model, so you understand what's going to fit, what physically fits on the property, and what can be done, what's feasible, and you understand what's financially feasible. At that point, you've got something you can talk about. Hey, this is what can be done. Here's what it takes to make that happen. And
Right.
the consultant will help you. You need an engineering consultant to work on the physical feasibility, you need a affordable housing consultant to help on the financial and community constraints, possible funding sources, et cetera.
Okay.
And-
And
I guess, okay. Quick question.
Yep.
Here, you've used in your summary, the AHT. Is it the Acton Housing Trust
Acton Housing did I use AHT?
Authority?
It's Acton Housing Authority.
So
They
it's the
got money,
equivalent?
they got money from the trust, but the housing authority is doing the project under their control. They own the land, et cetera.
Now, my understanding has been that the state has been, I don't know if I'll use the word hesitant or
Yes.
not encouraging for housing authorities to develop.
That's correct, and
And
they have
so
gotten,
how does
they've
this-
figured out how to manage that. They have done some of the kinds of things they did, they got a home rule petition through the legislature that they don't have to follow the standard Massachusetts municipal procurement guidelines, so they're not paying prevailing wage and such on the
Right,
contractors.
so that,
They got a dispensation from DHCD that they're allowed to offer extensive local preference. I mean, normally you can't offer local preference. They, with help from their community and their political, political leaders, they were able to get DHCD to, so there's a lot of getting adjustments to or permission from the authorities to do these things, but it can be done.
it sounds like there was a lot of involvement at the, I'll use the word state level.
State
just-
level, local
know,
level,
local.
and
It's a lot of
again,
collaboration.
and a lot of, resources from the housing authority. I mean, their housing, I mean, our housing authority ED is part-time. Their housing authority ED is full-time. Makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
So-
And part of it, just looking at the various funding sources that they mentioned, like, I think what impressed me most is that they've been able to manage the timing of everything.
Yep.
So, for example, some of the funding is from a MassWorks grant,
Yep,
so, which requires matching contributions
Yep.
from whoever's doing the building,
Yep.
the town, and then MassWorks puts the money in. Those grants are awarded, and they're awarded with start dates
yep,
and end dates. And if you don't start and end on time, you lose the
Right.
MassWorks funding. So, like, having that type of a grant structure puts a pretty tight window, and being able to coordinate that with everything else is actually pretty impressive. I mean, just,
Right.
my guess is that you're gonna have to invest $300,000 to $500,000 in upfront due diligence, feasibility studies, et cetera, to get to the point where you can, where you have a project that is funded.
Fundable.
Well,
Or-
you've got grants committed.
Okay, got it.
And maybe, and of course, you gotta get mortgage commitments and things like that, so.
Right.
I mean, it's a 2, 3, 4 year, 2 to 4 years and probably $300,000 to $500,000 of upfront.
In this model,
Yep,
obviously the AHT or AHA or
Yep.
whatever winds up owning.
they own the property, they own the building,
property
they manage
and
the building.
and they manage it.
They've put together a fairly
Okay.
complex,
I understand. My question,
Yep.
let me just finish.
Yep.
They own it. We've been because of my assumption of that the state is not supportive of local housing authorities building, that we've been going, I don't want to say really down the road, but in some of the initial discussions, that we had anticipated the need to bring in a nonprofit developer and in some kind of relationship with the housing authority here in Westborough, that developer would own the building, if maybe not the land, it would, whatever, however we needed to do it to make it happen. Now, if that's not the case, I think I'd like to understand, well, what is the state's stance?
that's where we're gonna have to get some consulting help.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think this is, what's interesting about this, this is a way forward,
Yep,
not necessarily the way
That's
forward.
Right, okay.
And so
This is a different model
I-
from what we talked
what
about.
we've been talking about, it's good to know that it is, with a lot of time, energy, work, frustration, obstacles
Yep.
to overcome, it's doable. So I agree with, Hank, I had reached out following our last meeting to Maureen Johnson.
Right,
We're back and forth a little bit about scheduling, but we are scheduled to, we will sit down and just have that informal introductory chat
Sure.
about where we're going, what we see. It's good to hear through Linda Strand that she might be interested. But, I agree with Hank that the next steps would be, one, to really come up with, determine what we can build and what we think is feasible on the property itself. Is it a 20-unit building? Is it a
Right.
50-unit building? How
that
big
puts
can
some
we go?
scale on
Where's the
what we're
park,
looking
right,
at.
where's the parking gonna be, all that fun stuff. And, and then it's really exploring, okay, so how do we get, once we have a target, how do we get that built? Whether it's
Yep.
the Acton Housing Authority path, whether it is some arrangement with a private developer that may or may not relinquish control of the land. We then look at, in my mind, what's gonna be the most cost-effective way forward. That'll get things built in a reasonable timeframe. And work there, and at that point, start looking at, I think it may be good to start doing the, a similar type of needs assessment, looking at the waiting list for, how many Westborough residents are on the list. What's the demand? We've heard in the past that at one point there were 262 plus seniors on the wait list statewide. Getting that current info, if Linda can help get that information, it would be good to know. To start mapping these things out. And then, once we have a sense of what could be built, bringing in the consultant to say, okay, not just, the financial proposal would have to be, would impact how we'd approach private developers as
Right.
well as how we'd approach the state. So that work would work regardless of the path forward.
So I know this was a report on what Acton has done.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's morphed, our discussion's morphed a bit into Rogers Road. Looking at next steps, do we have any specific measurable next steps at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I believe we've got to get a stronger partnership and more participation by the Housing Authority Board of Directors,
Okay,
okay? And, the first stab at that is say, hey, let's form a subcommittee. Couple
Okay.
of folks from the Housing Authority Board, couple of folks from the trust. They can then, that group of 3 or 4 folks can, kind of sort out what would we like to do next, and what do we need, what help do we need from the trust to move forward.
okay. Are there people, I'm ready to move forward, or
Yeah,
as chair would be happy to look to a couple people to step up to, I would say, 2 people from our trust to reach out to Linda, Maureen, Julia's on there.
Hank's reached out to
I've reached out to Linda.
She's
I know,
fine.
And-
well, I mean to say,
with
we
Linda-
formally have a couple people here
Yeah,
and we'd like to form this
Linda's
group.
recruiting 2 members from her board. We
Yeah.
should
Oh,
have.
is she already?
Yes, I mean, she
Oh, okay,
was
okay, I
supposed to
did not,
talk-
I misunderstood.
Yeah, she agreed that she would try to, we identified 2 folks, I would prefer not to mention the names.
That's fine, until
Uh,
they've agreed.
Until, because that would be not appropriate until she's able to talk with them.
I agree.
She was excited
Okay,
about the opportunity,
Then
uh,
we just need to find 2 people.
and then once we get a couple of folks from the
I would
Housing
say-
Authority Board, I believe it'd be easy to get folks from here.
Yeah. And I'd say 2 or 3 from here
Yep.
for the working group.
Okay. Hank?
So,
You want to be on?
I mean, let's wait and see what happens next, right?
Well, I was looking,
Hank's suggesting that we wait to confirm
Wait,
that
wait
the
till we
housing
have,
authority
you know,
wants
get
to
a
move
couple
forward
of
with
housing
this.
authority board folks, I mean.
okay,
and
that's
then
fine.
we'll
We
sort
can
out-
hold till next meeting,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll
Yep.
hear back.
Yep.
And if you can, before our next meeting, even if Linda has not reached out to you, can you
I will follow up.
touch with
Yep.
her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just
Sounds
want to
good.
say that Hank did an incredible job in terms of researching this project in Acton ahead of our meeting with Ms.
Cool.
Cronin, and did a great job of typing up the conversation. And so thank you very much for that, Hank.
Thank you.
You obviously know a lot about all of this, and you can speak really well to it. So I look forward to a partnership with the Housing Authority here in Westborough, because I think that there's definitely opportunity. I think that this meeting really proved that there is a way, there's a path forward, regardless of how that happens. They found a way to make it happen with some things that we thought were impossible.
Yep.
And they did a lot of collaboration across many different organizations. I think another thing that was, I think in the notes, was that they also collaborated with the Department of Developmental Disabilities. And so I think at least 6 of their units are for folks with developmental disabilities, which was something that was really important to their town residents. And so I thought that was also really interesting, and thought that that might be something that we could also think about here in Westborough. So I think there's a lot of lessons learned, and I really appreciated like looking outward out of our town to kind of see like what are some of the examples. And I thought Hank did a really great job of leading that effort. And I agree that doing an assessment of what our current needs are, like I know that the working group prior to the trust did a lot of assessment, and there's but there's a lot of opportunity to kind of bring some of that documentation together, and then also look at what like the current, because that working group is, you know, it's many years old at this point.
Yep.
And so thinking about what the current needs are, I think are important.
Okay.
Agreed.
Thank you, Hank.
Yeah, thank you, Hank.
I'll hand you the
What you
clipboard.
did.
All right, moving on. Website upgrade.
Okay.
You know about this a little bit
So-
more than anybody. So,
One of the
town.
one of the articles on the town meeting warrant is funding to upgrade the platform, the version of the software and the platform on which the town website operates. We operate as a sub-site on that platform. The scope of the town's budget is for the town portion of the website. Sub-sites would be responsible for funding their own upgrade. What the upgrade does, aside from a better look and feel, navigation, better search tools, easier management of trustees, the website upgrade, and Mark Stockman did a presentation to the select board, AFC, et cetera. The big thing for us as an operating committee is it replaces the content management system with something that is easier to use, more intuitive, as far as maintaining agendas, minutes, related documents, important documents, current news. And so if we don't upgrade with the town, we would have to move to our own website.
We'd have to start from
And-
scratch,
and use
basically.
and again, use a government compliant system so that records are maintained, et cetera. When we decided to be a sub-site of the town when we were first formed, the cost to be a sub-site was 1/4 of doing our own site. And so the cost to us to update with the town would be $4,000.
I move we authorize the chair to upgrade our website with the town and
Pending
Pending approval at
passage
town
or
meeting.
approval of
pro-
the
uh,
article at
the
town,
town
the
meeting, right.
related article at town meeting.
Yep.
Second.
So is that a firm number, the 4K?
I mean, it'll be whatever it's gonna be.
Well, all right, yeah, but,
That's the number that they gave Mark Stockman to give to us.
Okay,
So,
so we'll authorize 4,000. If it's different, if it's more, we'll revote it, but up to 4,000. Okay, so we have a motion, second?
I second.
she
Second.
seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. Moving on, and boy, we are right on schedule. Approval of minutes from February 9th.
So it's already been pointed out that the date at the top of the minutes was exactly 2 decades off. It has been amended to be
I enjoyed doing that.
2023, not 2003.
I didn't catch that.
I looked at it, I thought, oh, come on, he did it again. He was- Otherwise,
Alan's just living in
any
the
other
past.
corrections?
Good by
I went through, I didn't notice any other issues, but
No, I'm good.
that's just me. Anybody
And then
else?
there's a
No,
period missing
that's
after
fine.
Ms., but that's fine.
Accept
I don't
motion for
care.
approval?
So move.
Hank. All right. Second,
Second,
all those in favor?
sorry.
All right, minutes approved. Any other business that we want to bring up? We've covered a lot today. We've covered enough? We've given enough work to Alan? Everybody feels satisfied?
I'm going to bring this up only because I think it's within our purview to think about it. But so we had an emergency relief fund for COVID emergency housing issues. And the state put a moratorium on evictions during the height of the pandemic. That moratorium has since ended, and so evictions have risen pretty steadily, and it's not a reflection necessarily of more people getting evicted now because of different reasons. It's more of just the backlog of people that were on moratorium before are now kind of going through that eviction process in housing court. And so I'm just throwing that out there for this the trust's information in terms of thinking about other emergency rental assistance funds, in that there are other funds available for people through the state, like RAFT and things like that. And there's also going to be, and there's also, support within our community with other foundations, which can provide emergency assistance, which is really, really great. But I also think that there's more of a need now than ever with rents going up, and people, signed leases for higher rents because they have no other choice. And, there was a moratorium on evictions for a while, so it felt like safe to kind of sign some leases with higher rents. And now those higher rents are, they've been unaffordable for people anyway, but now they're causing evictions. So I'm just throwing that out there for the trust information to think about, do we have a role in emergency rental assistance and sustainable rental assistance as well?
Just to comment on that, I've been doing some work for another volunteer position with the Sudbury Housing Trust. So I'm familiar with some of the things they're doing. They have a rental assistance program. I don't know the details. I can pull it off their website and send it out. But there are some models out there of, I know they also have a small grant home repair program where, low-income families that their roof is leaking and they can't afford to repair the roof, they'll make a grant to them of some amount of money to help them repair the roof or things like that sort. So there's other trusts that are doing things like this.
Mm-hmm.
I can send some stuff out from Sudbury, and we might just look at some other housing trusts and see who's doing
Let's look
what.
at it.
Or maybe even, MHP might know who's doing something. I don't know if that's their bag or not, the rental
Which one?
assistance. MHP, I don't know if
Oh,
they're,
MHP.
I don't know if
I
their
can,
folks
I
would
can
be
reach out
aware
to
of it.
Shelley
But Shelley might be aware
and
of,
just see.
you know, one or two Metro West trusts who are similar to our own that have programs that might be worth looking at.
I was wondering if some of these, if it's coming about now, whether, obviously people have been in failure to pay for a number of months, if they're at the eviction point.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, have they been going through the process of getting state help, like RAF or others? Because, you know, we came in primarily to plug a hole while they went through the process of, you know, submitting all the paperwork
Yeah.
and application work, you know, via, with help from Metro West Collaborative, you know, for short term.
Yep.
But the idea was long-term that these folks would be looking towards the state for rental assistance. So
Right, and people are.
Right.
It's just that the state's rental assistance only goes so far too, you know,
Okay.
and that's, I mean, we're looking at a really systemic problem here in terms
Oh,
of
absolutely.
the cost of housing and people living in poverty and just the fact that, like, if you live in poverty, there's no way to save. And so if your rent increases, you're going to pay extra rent, and then you might not have food. And it's just like it's a compounding snowball effect. And so there's just, if we really want to help people maintain their housing and maintain adequate, sustainable, affordable housing, we need to be thinking about, like, long-term rental assistance.
Yeah. I know-
And affordability. And I know that, you know, building more affordable units is a big part of that, right? And so that's
doesn't
what we're,
happen overnight.
but
That's
that's,
what we're about, it's just time and money.
right,
Yeah.
you know, that's where the thing, it's gonna, you know,
Right.
Acton took 6 years to do this, and so this is something that we're facing right now. People are getting evicted today, and so I'm just thinking about what is our role in that.
Let's
Well, let's
see what
look
other
and see
trusts
what
are doing.
other trusts are doing and what we feel is our appropriate role. I mean, Westborough rents are crazy. Rents in the area are crazy. Fortunately, there is development going on. You know, in Shrewsbury, been some, you know, development in Edgemere, and there's another,
Yeah.
you know, area. And it's really, you know, housing stock is just, the housing stock eventually increases, as long as your population is not, you know, overrunning that increase, that it will hopefully start to stabilize some things, but we really haven't seen that. And I think we see the cost burdened, as we did with our initial analysis when we were setting up the trust, the high rate of cost-burdened renters, not so much homeowners, because the banks make sure that they have sufficient income to carry the mortgage, but really at the renters, landlords will sign them up more easily because they can kick them out
Right.
more easily. So, yeah, let's try to find out what other trusts are doing, and we can then come up with maybe our own plan or what we think is an appropriate way for us to move forward. But thank you for bringing that up. Other business, concerns, what have you, okay. We're a little ahead of schedule. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Oh,
Yes, you had something else?
no, I'm having that motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay. So,
Eager.
all right. All those in favor?
Wait, who's second?
I second.
Hang second.
You just jumped so quick.
I know. Yeah.
thought you
I had
like-
something to say, and then I was like, okay, let's close this meeting. All right.
All right. Thank you, Westborough TV. And we're